Yeah, I think we're finally online.
Yeah,
We,
hey.
we, we did it.
Yes. High fives.
Whoa.
High fives. Yeah. Bam. Done.
Cool, cool.
Hey, so awesome
Okay, let me check if
to be
you're.
here.
Yep,
Oh, wait.
we are live.
Hi.
Making sure. Yeah, we are live. Getting high fives. It looks good.
Cool.
Looks good so far.
Cool, cool.
Well, I'm so sorry. For
No, no,
some
no.
reason, this is like the seventh time I'm doing this, but
That's
for
quite
some
all right.
reasons,
Yeah. Look, I know
yeah.
it. I Tech gets the better of me all the time. So look, totally with you in this together.
Well, I think I'm gonna need to step my game up and go get some training on, on technology or something.
Amazing. I don't know. We learn as we go.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
And this is what I think this episode is about,
Mm,
right? Being
yeah.
able to throw yourself out there with all the flaws and whatnot. Well,
Absolutely.
well, Alan, I am so excited to uh, get this going. With no further ado, would you please introduce yourself to us?
Cool. Yeah, sure. So, my name's Helen Flitcroft. I'm a transformational mindset and success coach.
Wait,
And
wait, wait.
yeah, what?
I'm
Stop,
sorry.
stop.
You
What?
are a
Hey,
transformational
yep.
life coach.
Transform
Okay.
transformational mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
success coach. Yeah,
Tracking.
yeah, yeah. So, and I'm absolutely passionate. This is why I'm so excited to be here. To found you. I'm absolutely passionate about supporting the next generation of ambitious and kind-hearted entrepreneurs and making sure that they are fiercely powerful human beings because business is destroying our planet, and I really believe that powerful entities are going to be the fix. And so I've made it my mission to support those people in any way that I can. So I'm so excited and ecstatic to be having this conversation with you, because as soon as I came across Duco, I was like, oh my god, I literally just fell in love with the brand straight away.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
just congratulations to you and everything you've achieved so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's amazing to, have you. We connected last year, right?
Something like
And
that.
uh,
Yeah.
things just went crazy. I mean, it's so interesting how much we have in common
Mm.
and how we both care about, the next generation of ambition makers and dream builders, right? But when you talk about transformational mindset and success
Mhm.
coaching, what is it about?
So, what it's about is really becoming that next level version of ourselves. And in order to do that, we really need to turn the light inwards and start looking at the programs that we've grown up with. We're really talking about a subconscious change, really from our deepest levels, from the inside out. And when we can do that, we start healing our, what we call our core wounds, which are some people, you know, we've all got them, and they're things like, I don't belong, I'm not good enough,
Yeah.
I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, all of those things. And what happens in our day-to-day interactions is something will happen and it will touch on, they're like emotional landmines, they'll touch on that emotional landmine and prevent you one way or another from having the successful life that you want to have. So when we can start healing that and consciously changing who we are, and facilitating that process, we become a lot more powerful, and we also resonate at a higher level, which means that we're able to interact with other people playing at a higher level. It's so fascinating watching it happen. We
True.
we alter the stuff internally,
Yeah.
and then the external stuff
Hmm.
start shifting around. And sometimes that's really uncomfortable. It can be
It,
really,
it
really
can be.
uncomfortable. Old things will fall away.
Yeah.
Yep, friendships may
You
go.
start
You know,
losing some, some people who are no
yep.
more,
Mm,
who are not comfortable with your mindset and all the vibrations around you.
yep.
And that's one of the reasons why I started, these podcasts, Coffee with Kofi,
Mm,
because on a personal level, just going back, switching the light inward and looking at what actually I have control over and making change happen. Like you said, in the beginning, it was scary because things you never thought was possible before all of a sudden start becoming, doable and possible. And you wonder what is happening. Um, but so, in regards to turning the light inward, how does that um, link back to being vulnerable?
Oh, it's everything. It's absolutely everything. So the way I coach is, we sit down and we have a conversation and really draw out from you. And it might not happen in one conversation. We're talking about stepping into our life's greatest purpose here. So it might not happen in one conversation, but we start the process of really drawing out, what are you here on the planet to achieve? If you could, if you weren't limited, what would you do? And once we extract that kind of information, or even just a best guess of what it
Hmm.
might be at this point, because it's always going to
Yeah.
change, but we go, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. This is setting our trajectory, this is our vision, and let's start taking action on that vision. What are the things that you're going to have to do in order to get there, in your best guess right now? And there's going to be some stuff you got to do, right? And then there's going to be like, holy crap, I can't do that. All the stuff's going to come up. Who am I to do that? Who's going to listen to me? Oh, I'm just a tiny white woman, or I'm da 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 da. All of your stuff. Okay, so it's a really effective entrepreneurship, marriage, parenthood. All these things are really great vehicles for bringing up our internal stuff.
Hmm.
Once that's up there, I'm trained very highly in being able to shift those subconscious programs very quickly. So we're actually able to teach the brain to rewire itself, which is really quite fascinating. And
It is.
yeah, yeah, and I can actually sort of give, once the brain is trained in a certain method, I can give some commands, and the brain actually rewires itself very, very
It's
quickly.
funny.
Um,
It's funny that you're talking about training because, most of the time when it comes to everything that is outside and including our body itself, we tend to be more understandable when it comes to training. Let's say someone who wants to gain some more muscles, they'll go to the gym, right? They'll have a physical trainer. They'll go to the gym day and night. They'll, lift weight. They'll do Russian twist. They'll do burpees and so on and so forth. They'll run just so they can build up their body. But when it comes to the mindset, the mind itself, when it comes to the inner person of us, we become I'm not sure about
mm,
that, and that's where people like you come into play to help us do that mental push-ups and get that mental stamina growing, right? But
yeah.
you mentioned something, when we self-judge and, underestimate ourselves, we talk about, you would think to yourself, who am I to do this? When I was starting Coffee with Kofi and so many things I, strive to do, I was thinking to myself, well, you can't even speak English. This language is new to you. You started speaking English 4 years ago. I was finding tons of reasons not to do what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. But it's crazy how when you align your mind and just, by watching your lives, by following you, reading books, uh, such as Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, reading, things like that have been pretty helpful to make that decision, and look at us now. I'm here talking to you. You are in the future, talking to you in the future all the way. What is your actual town called?
So I live in a town, well, actually, I should call it a city.
Okay.
Anyone who's listening that lives in New Plymouth, we're technically a city,
Okay.
on the west coast, halfway up the North Island of New Zealand.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And you guys are about uh 27
Not,
hours. I
not
don't know.
quite, no. So it's 10:30 a.m. here. So I don't know if there's any background noise, but there's all the happy sounds of suburban Saturdays in the background, like whippersnippering and lawn mowing, and my kids might come up. I've asked them please not to come up during this
Yeah.
interview, but yeah, 10:30 a.m. Saturday morning here
Okay.
in New Zealand.
And I'm here 1:24, 1:30
Mm,
p.m. And Friday, I'm
yep,
I'm still in Friday
yep,
evening.
yep.
I mean afternoon, and that's crazy. Um, it's crazy how our planet works. But going back to our topic, how would you help someone with all those inner voices pushing you down, keeping you, pulling you back, preventing you from moving forward? How do you help people with that?
Yeah. So firstly, I try to lead by example. I try to, whenever I'm feeling um, doubtful or scared or frustrated, I try and make that known in my community. I try and be really transparent with that, because we're all so precious with our stuff, and we feel like, oh my God, if anybody knew that I was feeling this way. Or, I made a post about it, I think it was last week. I'm a mindset coach. Actually, it was the second of January. So 1st of January, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Here's my plan, da 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 da. New things that I need to do, new ways I need to be. Doing things I've never done before. And then 2nd day of January, all the doubt came up. My body was absolutely filled with doubt. And my first thoughts were like, I can't say, holy bleep, holy bleep, I'm a mindset coach. My clients want their doubt gone. You know, I can't let them know. This is what's going through my brain. I can't let them know that I'm feeling this way. But then I know better, and I'm like, actually, the way to get past this is to be vulnerable, express this, share what I'm going through.
Hmm.
And I know that that is the process. So even just, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to write about it. So in that process of just making my decision to show up, even though I'm feeling all of this stuff, and let all of that stuff come up into what we call our active awareness, to be really conscious with how I'm feeling. And my brain is trained in such a way that, when I can do that, and it's really easy to do this process, by the way. Once that's there in my conscious awareness, it starts to heal itself. So by the time I'd made that decision, written the post, put it up on Facebook, it probably took me about an hour and a half. I'm really slow at writing content. I was on the other side of that, so I woke up just feeling awful, and then I'd passed through it
Hmm.
in an hour and a half or so. So I'm so passionate, and I was really excited yesterday because I know, our interaction back and forth sparked an incredible idea, which I can't wait to talk to you about it. But it's all about vulnerability. It's all about sharing who we are,
It's
and not being
scary.
so precious.
It's
Sorry,
scary, right?
it's scary. You think it's scary until you do it, until you're at least in a safe space, where you suddenly realize that, oh, I'm not being judged. Because the thing is, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this exercise? Okay, is that all right? Can we do that?
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, all right. Let's do
Let's
this
do it.
exercise. Okay. All right, so I want you all to kind of just take a big deep breath and close your eyes and think about someone that you love very, very, very much. You know, just think of your heart swelling, how much you love this person. You know, maybe it's a child, maybe it's a sister, maybe it's a best friend. And it doesn't matter how old you are, so do whatever mental gymnastics you need to do to make this work. All right, so just imagine now you're sitting down somewhere in your favorite spot.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see this person coming, they're off in the distance and they're coming towards you, and you can tell by their body language that, you know, that they're not feeling positive, something's wrong, you know, and as they come closer and closer, you can see they've been crying, you know, and they've really been crying a lot, you know, and any of you who are passionate entrepreneurs like myself, probably like Kofi, you've had these moments. You've cried and cried and cried, right?
Tell me
Anyway,
about
they're
that.
coming to you. How do I know that?
Tell me
Yes,
about that.
that's the journey,
Yeah.
right? So so you know they're coming to you and they are in the depths of despair. You know they've been crying for hours, and you're like, oh my god, you know, Ben or Sophie
Hmm.
or whatever, you know, what's wrong, and they're just like, well, Kofi, you know, I'm just not good enough,
Yeah.
or you know, Kofi, nobody loves me, Kofi,
Hmm.
I don't belong, Kofi, don't think I've got what it takes. And what is your response? As you're looking at that person, remembering how much you love them, and you're looking at them into their eyes, and you see them for all of their power, you know, what is your response?
The first thing I would say, why would you say that? I love you. Why would you think
Yeah.
nobody loves
Is
you?
it is
You know? And
it true? Is it true that nobody loves them?
that is not true because I know for a fact that I love them. So if even if I can't speak for no one else, I know for sure that I do
Yeah.
love them. So it's not true for them to think that no one loves them. Yeah.
It's so obvious to us. And hang on a second, I have a child, and it's school holidays, by the way, and still in pajamas, but we'll say hello. It seems like she's here.
Hello
This is Miss Sophie.
there.
Say hi to Kofi.
How are you?
Hi. He says, how are you?
Good, Mummy.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Can you ask Thomas, please? Please.
But I don't know what to have.
Can you ask Thomas or go and ask Daddy, please? Thank you. All right.
How cute.
Yeah, I know all of you that are parents totally get it.
Yeah,
Thank you so
I've got two of those little angels here. So
yeah.
yeah, I love it.
So the point is, it's not true. We know when somebody is at the depths of their despair,
Hmm.
you know, coming to you, and it feels so true to them that they're not enough, or they're not worthy, or they're not lovable, or they don't belong. Mine's I don't belong. Um, it's not true. It's so not true, and we're able to, in that instant, show up for them as our powerful adult selves who are connected to that deeper
Yeah,
truth, you know.
yeah.
And so I like to do that exercise because it shows people that there is a part of themselves that is this person. But there's also a part of ourselves who is this little person that, you know, makes up, because we make up these deep beliefs, we make them up very early in our childhood. You know, we
Hmm.
come into the world in complete love,
Yeah.
connected to absolute love, and we're perfection, and we don't know anything else. And then something will happen. Suddenly, it'll be like, oh my God, what? I'm a bad person, or I'm something will
Mm.
happen that disconnects us from that unconditional love, and then we make up stories about why that is,
True.
you know. And in order to survive and to just mentally survive in the world, we make these stories up, and we start to build our personality on these stories.
Over
And
and over again.
over and
Yeah.
over again, because these are the core beliefs that we have, and it's important for us that our beliefs make sense to us. So we
Mhm.
constantly see things that reinforce these beliefs,
Yeah.
but they're not true. They feel true to a tiny part of ourselves, and sometimes that tiny part of ourselves takes over and runs the show. But it's only a little part of ourselves. It's not all of us. So that's why I like to just show people that, you know, if we can realize that, hey, it's just little Kofi showing up, or it's just little Helen showing up saying, hey, I'm scared, I don't know if I can do this, I'm only little, then we're
Yeah.
able to take that large, more powerful part of ourselves and
If
go, it's all right,
if
come here,
you're
you silly
able to
sausage.
pick little Kofi up and go like,
Yeah,
hey, you'll be fine. It's all good.
you got this. You
Yeah.
got this. And it's a very
Hmm.
manual exercise.
Hmm.
Um, but I have sort of automatic processes as well. But the important part is letting that stuff come up, because if we just keep pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing it down, it's just going to stay there. It's going to stay there, and we're going
True.
to have the same beliefs, and we're going to keep creating the same reality over and
So
over again. So, um,
go ahead.
no,
What would be a good technique, to spot that right away and work on it instantly? How can you, as an entrepreneur, you go for a business meeting and all of a sudden, all the voices come back to you, telling you why you shouldn't be there, why you don't belong, and why you're not good enough to be in that meeting or to go meet that person. how
yeah,
can you how can you help yourself when you're all of a sudden flooded in doubt like
yeah.
that? How can you help yourself?
So there are a few ways, and it's good to know the manual ways first. Like, when I thought when I was growing up that I just wanted to learn how to drive an automatic car. My dad was like, no, Helen, you got to learn how to drive a manual car, and I appreciate that now. So let's talk about some manual ways. So you're probably the same as me. Like, if you do it enough and you just do the whole screw it, just do it approach, and you're like, holy crap, I'm terrified and I'm going to do it anyway. You get on the other side of it and you're like, oh man, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Or it was so bad. I'm sure you've been through some very trying and testing experiences that were awful, and I certainly have. But on the other side of that, I'm like, oh man, I got some really, really good
True.
lessons out of that.
True.
And so in a manual approach, it's kind of almost starting to be getting addicted to those resources. Like, as entrepreneurs, we are constantly scanning for resources. How
Hmm.
can we build our brand? How can we extend our impact? All those kinds of things. And one of those resources is the knowledge. And I don't know any better way of learning lessons than to learn them the hard way sometimes as
Yeah.
well. So um, and and also, I have a really strong belief that we all have influence whether we like it or not, and we give permission to people to act in a way that they might be thinking, so if they're thinking, hey, I've got this idea and I've got this dream and I'm scared, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, but Helen did it, Kofi did it.
Hmm.
You're giving
To
permission to somebody else to go for their
to
dreams.
believe and to have that drive to go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But on
definitely.
the flip side of that, if you choose not to do that, you're also potentially giving that person permission to oh no, don't worry about it, it's too hard. Hey, I never really wanted that anyway.
Yeah.
So to me, I really feel like
Very
I have
so true.
a moral obligation to lean in and dive into the stuff that terrifies me and the stuff that I'm scared of. And eventually you realize that that's where the gold is. When that stuff starts coming up, you're like, awesome, next level Helen is
Yeah.
just on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And
Getting
when you've been through,
stronger. Yeah.
yeah, And when you've been through enough difficult experiences, and you know, I'd love to interview you sometime because you're in the military. I mean, you must have so much knowledge around moving through difficult experiences. But yeah, on the other side of that is the next level.
True.
You know,
And
and
that's how this quote says, growth is on the other side of fear.
yeah,
Each time you overcome some of those difficult experiences, you become more confident into your potential to overcome difficult challenges. And the more you do that, the better.
yeah,
And it's so amazing. You mentioned the military. Moving to the United States and enlisting a couple of months after getting here, and not knowing that I'm going to boot camp with very little to no English, um, was so scary. But even though it wasn't easy to go through boot camp, after that I became more confident in myself.
yeah.
I've never drove in the United States, and I moved from Texas all the way up to Washington State, driving a U-Haul and towing my car. Just the fact that I was able to do one scary thing, I was like, well, that wasn't too bad. Let's try something else that I was even more scared of.
Yeah.
And it just go like a snowball, and keeps getting bigger and bigger. And the good thing about that is how you can use, like we are talking about, that very fear. You can use that to grow into a bolder and a stronger person. Um, do you have any personal experience on being vulnerable that you would like to share with me that we can learn from?
All the time. I mean, I have no poker face. So some people are maybe blessed, but it's not really a blessing in that they're able, their stuff starts to come up and they're just able to shut it down. And I just don't. I don't have that, and I come from a really quite a successful career in fine dining restaurants, which are pretty tough industry for a little young lady to be in at the time, But nevertheless, I rose to the top in that industry, and sometimes just everything got the better of me, I would just burst into tears, but it became part of my process, and the team didn't mind. So long as we're achieving our goals,
Mm-hmm.
that's what mattered. So long as I'm fair to them, and that we're feeling like we're a team, then that's fine. Let me try and think of some other really beneficial examples of being vulnerable. The biggest one, which it just hasn't happened. Well, let's look at Startup Weekend. So Startup Weekend, so some of you, if you're entrepreneurs, maybe you've been to a Startup Weekend, they happen all over the globe. And I wouldn't have had the golden idea that I had yesterday if it wasn't for Startup Weekend here in Taranaki, November 2020, right? My first ever Startup Weekend. Finally, I get to do this thing, and I couldn't wait. And I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And as a mum, it's literally my first holiday away from the children.
Mm-hmm.
For 8 years. So I was so excited. This is going to be so much fun. People are going to be like me, and da-da-da-da-da. And it was awful. It was so hard. Our team just could not perform. I'm like, is it my leadership? It felt like over 54 hours, every frustration and doubt and, small feelings that I've had on my journey as an entrepreneur, right there in my face, all over 54 hours. A lot of them were about, how I interact with men and what my leadership is like, and why is it that I can show up in my power when I need to sort of show some leadership around a woman, but then all of a sudden, you know, some man with authority comes in and says how it needs to be, and all of a sudden I feel myself start shrinking back down, you know, all of this stuff. And how does that play out with my team? And did I let my team down? And you know, the whole thing, you know. And I was an absolute mess. I was an absolute mess pretty much for 4 hours straight, 8 o'clock to 12 p.m. publicly at startup weekend. Yeah, and then I just pretty much cried until 4 a.m. that morning.
Wow.
And then I thought to myself, oh, you know, I was really feeling like I can't show up. I can't show up on Sunday, you know, I'm done here. But again, I'm like, Helen, you know this stuff. The good stuff is on the other side of that, you know. So I showed up anyway, and Sunday was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And what it did, though, is it sparked the thought process around, you know, this idea that I've got, you know. And people don't judge, funnily enough. You know, if they're like you, if they've been through that same journey as you, they understand with full and open hearts exactly what it's like. Another example, actually, this is a good one, at a hackathon. So I joined a hackathon. I'm passionate. I've got this idea that I want to put out that's going to help with food security, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody came around. My idea was amazing, and I put all this effort in. I was working my ass off at the time as well with this community project, and nobody thought my pitch was a good idea. And I don't belong, right? Remember, so my thing's I don't belong. So this is like touching on like, oh. all of my stuff, and I just like burst into tears again in front of everyone. I had to excuse myself, and this big bearded guy came up to me, and he's the I'm not sure exactly what he is. He's like the tech developer, head of tech or something at one of the really exciting startups that have grown here in Taranaki and now are global. And he's a big guy, Matt, if you're listening to this, thank you, really made an impression on me. Came up and gave me a big hug, and he's like, Helen, it's all right. I know exactly what it's like. I've been through that so many times, getting teary thinking about it. You know, and of course, because he's a big guy and you girls listening to this, leaving the tear patches on his shirt. Right? So, you know, and it creates relationships, and it creates empathy. And when we've been through a process like that together, we're suddenly more on the same page. We're suddenly more connected. We suddenly see each other for their humanity.
Sure.
And, you know, we give each other some more space to create that thing that they want, and we don't judge, you know.
So from what you said, I believe you implied that it's important having people around you who can remind you that, hey, that's just in your head. You know, we don't think that. And also, I think it's important for us to communicate with people around us, ask for feedback instead of just making up movies in our own head.
Yeah, it is. And it's just, I think it's so important to just, if we just show it to the world instead of hiding it away, it loses its power over us.
But suddenly, won't you become someone who is perceived as weak if you show your vulnerability to people?
Well, I don't know. Are you perceiving me as weak right now?
Absolutely not. Actually, I was shocked that someone as successful as you is talking about crying in front of a crowd. Yeah, so I was like, oh, so Helen cries too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I cry. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. And so
when we see people at your level of success, being successful as you, it's kind of something we just assume they're different. They don't feel, because you kind of think to yourself, well, if that person is that much vulnerable, they won't be as successful as they are, right? So absolutely not. I don't see you as a weak person. I look up to you. I admire you, your drive, your work ethic, your way of leading by the example. Absolutely. And that's something I think I just gave myself the answers to my question.
Cool.
So
Awesome. And let's talk about success for a minute, because this is really interesting. And fortunately, as a success coach, I get to talk and I get an inner window, and it's like the best show on the planet. I'm so fortunate into entrepreneurs' lives. And I can tell you that success isn't one-sided, and maybe somebody's got tons of money.
Mhm.
Right. It sounds like a myth until we actually see it's actually true. They've got tons of money and the business is going great and they're traveling the world, da 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 da. But then inside, maybe they're suicidal. Maybe they're just a complete mess and they feel they can't show that to anyone. So they're living this life that is a mask, and you say to them, oh, but you're so successful. And they're like, man, if only you knew the truth. And then in other realms, people will find success in their family. Like there's all these things that really we want them to be humming in unison to finally feel successful. Here comes my cat as well. So we want to feel good in our
Mhm.
positive emotions. Okay, we want to feel satisfied, at least satisfied that our positive emotions, we're feeling good generally. We want to be engaged in our life and just eager to get amongst it. Our relationships matter. We want those to be okay. Even if everything else is great and our relationships are awful, that's all we're going to see, and we're going to feel like a complete failure.
Mhm.
Finances, we want that to be okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We want to feel that we can achieve stuff. We want to be feeling like we're showing up as the person that we know deep down inside that we actually are or we're becoming. And we want to be in touch with our spirituality, whatever that means for you. And usually it's more just, being connected to something greater
Mhm.
than yourself. And our health, so important. If we've
True.
got those things kind of like humming and we're generally satisfied in those areas, then we're feeling successful. Because, success is just a feeling at the end of the day.
I
Everyone's like,
like that.
what?
It's it's a feeling. Yeah,
It is.
it's a feeling. No matter how much successful you look to others, it boils down to how you feel within yourself about yourself,
Absolutely.
right?
And what matters to you, because some people, I don't know, some people just can make money like that. They're just born that way, it seems. And they don't think they're successful because the rest of their life is just a complete mess, So it's other people judging success as being, well, you've got that thing that I haven't got, so you must be successful. And he's going, or she, well, you've got that thing that I haven't got, so you're successful.
Yeah,
So we need to define what success is for ourselves.
true,
And that's all
true.
that matters, So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to, you know, take too much of your time. So we are getting close to cut me off if you
Oh, I
need
don't need
to.
to.
Uh,
No, I'm excited to be here.
so you have a couple of platforms that help people. You have products that can help people be unlock their best self, if
Mhm.
we can put it that
Yeah.
way. Um, the first one is Still Are Humans. Would you tell us a little about what you do with Still Are Human?
Yeah, sure. So Stellar Humans has been around for a little while now. It's my first business taking myself out into the world as a success coach. And it was really just about me at the time. Not about me, but it was just me running it, just Helen and her services and how she can help people. And in my time, I realized that, yeah, I can help people a lot when it comes to their mindset and their relationships and things like that. But as you know, biology, our health, our physical performance, our spirituality, all of these things come into play, So I really wanted to create something that was an alternative to the high ticket coaching model that we're seeing out there in the world at the moment, which is very like one very specific solution to one very specific person, and I'm like, no, it's not serving people in the way that it could. So the last 18 months, I've been testing with a bunch of other really, really highly expert coaches a model where it's kind of like an ecosystem. We're building a transformational business incubator to help passionate, kind-hearted human beings who are founders to deal with their stuff so that they can show up and lead in the way that they want to lead. So we've got lots of resources and free courses and paid courses and memberships and all kinds of things. But it's really designed to grow with the entrepreneur as well, because I know one of the things that entrepreneurs deal with is like all these resources. You're like trying to grow your business and cash is like at a
Oh
premium,
yeah,
isn't it? Right? It's like
I
it's like
know a
the
little
blood.
about that. Yeah.
It's like oxygen, so we need that cash flow. And all these coaches and all this stuff, it costs money, so it's quite a big decision to go and take some of that resource and move it into, coaching. So what I've done is designed our model in a way that it grows with the entrepreneurs. So if cash is not flowing enough to siphon off a little bit for, your personal growth, that doesn't matter. Don't let that stop you, because we've got a model that will help you to grow anyway. And then as we help you with your capacity, then, the prices go up and we sort of grow together. So yeah, Stellar Humans is where it all began, but this new thing that I'm talking about is called Myara Coach. So, but go to the Stellar Humans. If you just go to my Stellar Humans webpage, not webpage, sorry, Facebook page, there's information there about Myara Coach. So we've been in MVP. Sorry,
Myra coach.
Myara
Okay.
Coach. Yeah, yeah. We've been in the MVP stage for the last 18 months, testing it, making sure it all works, and we've got a great product. And now we're wrapping all that up in our branding and launching beginning of February. So it's all very
Cool.
exciting.
That's pretty
So
pretty exciting. And that's one of the things I'm proud of, being able to bring great people here to my audience and, steal some great information and knowledge from them and just share that with my audience. Because at the end of the day, that's my goal, help people uh, build a stronger self
yeah,
and just able to change and transform their personal lives and contribute to making our world a better place for us to live in, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
And I always try my best to bring on here people that I admire, people that I know have had some sort of impact on my personal life, and I want to share that with others to do the same as well. Going back to success, what is your personal advice for someone who is willing to um, define and set the rules for their own success? How would you guide someone to set and design their success in a way that when they see it, they can tell?
yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have a tool for that. So if anybody wants to just reach out, we always want to just have conversations with people, and it's not like a big sales thing. And like I said, we've got things that don't even cost money. But I would suggest either reach out to myself or somebody else who is a coach, or tap into your local startup community, find out what support and resources are out there, and those people that you're getting around you who are already playing at a higher game have probably been through this process. So just ask them. They might have resources as well. But I will say it's a heart thing. It's a heart thing. Open up your heart. It's not what you think you should be doing. So if there's any like shoulds coming through around, what my success should look like,
Yes.
just really flag that and go, hang on a sec, what's the deeper truth? What is my soul being called forth to do? And
Yeah.
sometimes as a success coach, it's actually to like create not that ideal of success and all the clients and all the da da da. It's actually to create a quiet space at home where they just want to garden.
Yes.
Sometimes that is success for somebody, but that's
Yeah.
what they truly want. And when you're on that path, and you'll know this, even if you never get where you think you're going to go, even if a bus takes you out tomorrow, because it could,
Yeah.
it's being on that path that is so intrinsically
Mm-hmm.
satisfying, you know,
Yeah.
that, hey, I'm doing my thing. This is what I'm here in the world to do, and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That gets you up.
Exactly. That's a great statement. I was talking to one of my friends we haven't met in a while yesterday, and he was complaining, and he thought I was doing great, and he asked me, "Do you think you're successful?" And I went, "Yes." And he's like, "Wow, you agree?" I told him yes. He's like, "Why?" Well, and then he said, "You just complain that you're not making enough sale for your business." I was like, "Well, that doesn't define my success. It does not. It has nothing to do. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to own a clothing brand. That is true right now. There are people I've never met before all around the world wearing my brand. Um, I am running the business, the actual business. I design things, I make them happen, and then people get to get them and wear them. And even though I'm not selling as much as Nike or Adidas, I'm not even anywhere close to them. That's not what I'm looking for. If you're asking me if my business is growing, you're asking me for the growth ratio, we can talk about that. But
Yeah.
it does not define my success. I grew up going to school, no electricity. I had to study at the candlelight. Me and five of my other siblings were sharing the same room, and we had just one bed in the room. Today, I have my own house. My kids have their own rooms. They don't sleep, on the ground, on the floor. They don't study at the candlelight. So if you want to tell me I have to be a billionaire before I can see myself as a successful person, then I don't know what success is then, you
No,
know?
no, no. And actually, this has sparked an idea. If anybody who's listening feels they aren't successful, I have a visualization. I'll send you a link to a visualization. So I'll send you that visualization. It's wonderful. It's one of the most powerful ones that we have in My Ara Coach, and I think it will change some people's perspective around
Mhm.
their own success and how they feel about what they've achieved in their
It's
life
so
so far.
important. So great. If that tool can, help someone get there and be able to see that, that would be great. I would love
Yep.
to try it too.
Yep.
Um, but like you said, it's so important to define your own success in your own words, in your own terms. It's just like, you wouldn't walk up to someone you don't know and try to put their clothes on, you know.
No.
Yeah, but we tend to do that when it comes to being successful. We
We do.
want to look like someone. We want to be like someone to see ourselves as successful. And one of the reason why I think a lot of people don't see themselves as successful is because instead of counting their blessings, they count
Hmm.
what they don't have. They look at all the problems, all the needs, all the wants, all the things that they are missing. And yet, if you're uh shark comparing yourself to a lion, or you know you're a shark, just doing your own business in the ocean, and then you look up and see beautiful eagle flying above, doing all some crazy flying. And the minute you start comparing yourself to the eagle on its capabilities to fly, you as a shark, you start doubting yourself, not because you're not worth it, but because you're using the wrong scale to compare yourself to the eagle.
Yeah, it's
You
not
know,
your genius.
yeah.
We've all
So
got genius inside of ourselves, and it's finding what
absolutely,
that is and tapping into that and then fanning those flames and growing that. And it's the best feeling once you start, you're such a perfect example of it, just doing it, and success doesn't need to be a one-day thing. It can be, what's a successful morning look like for you?
that is something too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Just because the past, 27 years hasn't been successful doesn't mean today has to be the same.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It all comes down to a decision. Comes down to a decision,
Yeah,
and if you really feel that there's this, you've got deep stuff blocking you, that the doubts are too deep, and you feel just like this ocean of overwhelm that comes over you, please know that there are people out there that can help with that. Don't suffer alone. Don't let that thing stop you from moving forwards, because it might seem so huge and it might seem so insurmountable and impassable, but from me on the other side of that, it's not. We've got tools that can help you with that. It's like swimming. You fall into the ocean, you don't know how to swim, it's impossible. It is possible. You just need to know how, and you can be a strong swimmer. So it's don't, because you don't have the skills and the knowledge and the experience to move past those barriers, don't think they're impassable, because they're absolutely not, and reach out
sure.
to help,
Yeah,
for help, for people who are trained to help people in that way. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's a great way to put it. I've never seen any parents, you know, throwing their kid away because the first day they try to walk, they couldn't walk.
No
From
way.
inside, we know, hey, they are learning.
Yep.
And it's the same in all we do in life. When you start, just like this podcast, I was 17 minutes late trying to figure out how to go live. Um, and I had I had a paper, all prepared to follow, a structure for um, the podcast, and I don't even know where it is right now. All the notes I put down, but it that's something. If I quote well, Dr. Emmett Fox, he said that living is like being on a stage performing while learning and performing at the same time, rehearsing and performing at the same time, because you've never practiced living. So every day you wake up, there are new stuff to learn, new things to do, and it just keep going, keep changing, and you have to adapt. You have to be flexible. You have to learn, and while you are learning, just like on this podcast, I've never done this podcast before. I'm trying to get good at it, but the only way to do so is to do them.
Yep.
So I'll
Damn
come
it.
here and see, I'll come here and I'll go, Helen, this, that, And in the beginning, I was thinking to myself, well, what would people think? How would they see me if I can't even, get my sentences together right, with a lot of hesitation in my talking? But yet, I think those are just life. That's how life works, right?
It
Um,
is.
if I see some, consider someone as someone like Joe Rogan, Jocko Willings, uh, David Goggins. Those people have been doing this for years and years and years, and that's how they got to where they are today. So I believe strongly that, through showing our vulnerability, I can't even say that word right. Uh, Showing that we are vulnerable um, gives us the power to learn and grow.
Mm, absolutely. It really does. And we're all human. And the more you start showing up and doing your thing and interacting with other people playing their game, because other people playing it, they got like a sense for like who they want around them and who they don't, so if you're still allowing excuses and you're blaming and they don't want to be around you, right? But if you start taking responsibility, do the inner work, show up, be on that path, overcome a ton of obstacles, get smacked in the face a couple of times metaphorically, you're going to be able to get into those circles, and then you realize, oh man, we're all just humans. We're all just people. There's nothing special about us, other than we just somehow did it anyway, even though we were terrified. And I used to not be able to, I still don't think I'm an eloquent person. I look at other people speaking like, oh my God, how can you speak like that? I wish I could speak like you. But I used to fall apart on stage in front of people. I literally would shut down. I didn't know what I was going to say. I couldn't speak, and it was horrible, but kept showing up, kept doing it anyway.
Mhm.
And, now I know even if that happens, it's fine. Just take a breathe, move to my heart, and speak from the heart. We're all
Yeah,
just humans. We're all just people, doing our thing. And I think the more actually you move up in those levels of entrepreneurship, the more real everyone
true,
gets. It's
true.
really exciting.
Yeah,
So fun
true.
place to be.
Yeah, hopefully someday I'll be able to, host um podcasts like Morgan Freeman. Hopefully one day.
Listening to that, Morgan, if you ever hear this, I believe in you so hard. If you like, everybody does. I'm sure everyone that's looking at you just believes in you 1,000%. Sometimes you come across people and you're like, that guy, and as soon as I saw you and as soon as I got the Duco brand, in front of me, I'm like, oh man, yes, look at him go. It's such an
Thank
honor.
you.
I am honored to be here. Um, and I really look forward to being able to interview you as well and share your story, with my audience, because you're just so
Thank
inspiring.
you.
You really are. Yeah, keep
Thank
going.
you. You know, well, we are getting to an
Yeah.
hour, so we got 4 more minutes to go. Is there any other topic you would like to touch on?
Not really. I think it's important just to remember, if this conversation calls to you, it's your heart. It's going to be telling you, it's going to be doing these little fluttering things that are going, oh, I need to do something. They're calling to me. Reach out to Kofi, reach out to myself. You might even not know what your next steps are, but we'll
Yeah,
help you. We'll help you get started on your way. I'll give you that visualization that we've got. We've got some other tools. I'm sure Kofi can, give you tons of stuff as well. And here's one parting thing, and you're gonna hate me for it, everyone. But right, there's
send
this
it.
thing. There's this thing. It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling, and it's a mixture of excitement and like terror. To me, it's like drinking milk and orange juice at the same time. If you ever done that as a kid and know what that feels like in your stomach, and when it's the growth feeling. So for me, when I feel it and it's like, oh, damn it, it's like, there's this thing, and now I've got to do this thing, and I'm scared as hell, but that's the feeling, the growth feeling. And whenever I see it or feel it, I'm like, oh, bummer. Because I know that's the path,
And,
and I know
and
it's not going to be comfortable.
and I truly, truly can relate to that feeling, and I hate it. I hate that feeling because
Yeah,
this is the path to
yeah,
go. This is the path
yeah,
to walk. Yet you are scared. And I've had that feeling about starting a podcast for years. It took me a lot of courage to take it to the next level and to tell to myself, hey, you know, well, people are gonna judge my accent, people are gonna judge my whatever, how I look on the camera and whatever. The list goes on and goes on. And I was like, well, this is my calling, and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to work hard and learn and train myself. And then I got crazy. I'll be in the bathroom all by myself, looking in the mirror and just talking about all topics I can talk about. And you you feel, I need to do this. I have to do this. And at the same time, you can feel all heaven just falling on you just by thinking of it.
yeah,
And that was a great statement you made, like that's how you know what you're called. That's how you know what you are meant to become.
yeah. And it's hard and it's scary. And I've got one of them. I've got this thing that I need to do, and I'm like, ah, I can't approach them. They're gonna reject me. All that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I have to do it, Helen. There it is. You know it's there. So yeah, on a last, leaving it, like anyone who's listening, what do you have to say yes to? What is that thing in it? You'll know it as soon as you feel that feeling. It's like a big red flag. I'm like, oh, damn it. Yeah. And what's the next step towards that? Are you going to choose even an itty bitty
Hmm.
step towards making that thing
Yeah.
happen? Mm.
Well, Helen, thank you so much for, well, first, my apologies for being late.
Oh, don't worry
Uh,
about it.
Thank you so much for spending some time with me today on this podcast, Coffee with Kofi, third episode. I'm pretty grateful that we connected, and pretty glad that you could take out of your time. I know you're a pretty busy businesswoman, entrepreneur, mom, wife. Uh, I mean, you got a lot on your plate, yet you said yes to come and spend some time with us and just give a lot of the materials that you people pay you for, just to give that to us for free, and just to give us some tips that we can use to, you know, swim in this adventure we call life and do it successfully. Thank you so much for doing that. It's been a great honor to have you on Coffee with Kofi. I didn't share coffee with you this time, but one day we'll do Coffee with Kofi live,
We
and
will.
we will
We
share some coffee.
will. There's some stuff in our future. I know it. So I can't wait to see that in reality. It's just a little dream at the moment, but there's a future out there where that thing is real. So it's my absolute honor. I 100% believe what you're doing in your mission, and the way that you touch people in the world. So any way that I can support that, I'm there
Thank you so
100%. So
much. Um, well, you are in the future. If you see
it's
anything
good.
that we
It's
need to
good
know
here.
in the past, please pass that on to us.
Come to the future. It's good. Don't be scared. Dive in. You know.
Well, I just to wrap it up real quick. Thank you everyone for watching. Uh, Thank you everyone for your comments. I just was so interested into what Helen has to share with us that I didn't want to keep interrupting her and reading your questions and all that. I'm still learning this, so bear with me. I'll get better and combine all that so you guys can have a lot more takeaways from my podcast. And thank you all for watching. I had for you today Helen Crifcrafts. No, is that with
It's tough. Flitcroft.
Helen
Flit
Flitcroft?
Flitcroft. Yeah.
Helen Flitcroft for you today. She is uh, transformational mindset and success coach. She is a phenomenal human being. And if you want to reach out to her for any of her materials to help you unlock your inner self and become the best you could be, reach out to her, reach out to me. I will link you up with her. And you all be well and prosper. All right, Aaron.
Sending love to everyone.
Another high
High
five.
five.
Last one. Oh.
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll talk
Looking
soon.
forward to the next one.
Okay.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. See you guys.